Amen. Amen. Your Excellency, with your kind permission, I would like to invite the Chief Minister for some welcome remarks on this presentation ceremony.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. As Chairman of the Steering Committee on the implementation of the Tripartite Committee report, endorsed by the Cabinet of His Excellency President Julius Malabio, it is indeed my true pleasure to welcome you to State House on what should be a quite historic day in our country. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our committee is broad-based. Cabinet allowed for a small section of ministers, mayors, and civil society to be part of the steering committee, but the steering committee has since expanded our membership. Also, at the last meeting, we even moved to invite the UN to join the steering committee. Our committee is broad-based and highly inclusive. It includes ministers of government, members of parliament, civil society, members from other political parties, mayors, paramount chiefs, media, and other citizens, respectable citizens of this country. For all the committee members, including the newly invited committee member, I kindly invite you to please stand up so that you are recognized by His Excellency. Thank you. Your Excellency, this committee has been working hard. The ministers have been working on reviewing laws. The civil society has been out there and will continue to go out there to engage people. The citizens are engaged by the ministries involved, and we have a steering committee that has also been set up. We will give a general report to you, sir, as a committee that was set up by Cabinet. But today we're here for a very specific reason. We're here for the Public Service Reform Unit to present to us a report on the independent management and functional review of the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, PSRU has done dozens of reports. Those reports often do not reach to you as the President of the country, but this particular report is one that you have asked all of us to come to present to you because you had asked for it and because it matters for you. Without much ado, I would like to use this opportunity to invite the Director of the Public Sector Reform Unit to give a short, we had said 7 minutes, but he asked for 10 minutes presentation to you on the highlights. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Chair. It is with profound honor and humility, Your Excellency, that I stand before you this afternoon on behalf of the Public Sector Reform Unit and IFES to present to you the management and functional review of the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone. This process was inclusive, consultative, and evidence-based. We went throughout the country and engaged every stakeholder that we needed to engage so that we may have views in strengthening the Electoral Commission of Sierra Leone in line with your agenda of revamping the public service architecture. This presentation quickly will follow the following format, Your Excellency. And in front of you is a file that has bullet points of what I'm going to present this afternoon. It all started, Your Excellency, after the tripartite. The recommendations came out, 80 recommendations, and a committee was set up. The Chief Minister was to chair that committee, and he chaired that committee. An international consultant was hired that worked with PSRU. Why the international consultant? Because we needed to learn. This was the very first time for the Public Sector Reform Unit to have engaged with an international partner on electoral reforms. So it was very important for us to benchmark and to learn from this particular consultancy. An MOU was signed and then we proceeded with the implementation of the management and functional review. Your Excellency, quickly, this is a background of PSRU. I will not go through that, but IFES in particular, it's important to note that they have over 30 years of experience conducting management and functional reviews, and also strengthening electoral processes across Africa. They have worked for quite a number of institutions, and it was in Sierra Leone that this reviewed EPD with recommendation 6 and 20. It was very clear as to what we should do and our target and focus for this review. Your Excellency, we had key objectives that we wanted to meet, and that was to establish a vision for the ECSL, to also assess the governance architecture of ECSL, to assess the organizational structure of ECSL and related bodies, to review the financial flows of ECSL, understand capacity gaps analysis, and review and audit all digital tools used by ECSL. The outcomes were about 5 or 6. ECSL mandate and laws to be reviewed, recommendation from the tripartite implemented, ECSL organization reviewed and reorganized, organization resource for ECSL staff, media, security sector, and other stakeholders trained and capacitated, and finally, public image and trust of ECSL enhanced, and continued partnership with development partners, NGO, and others. Approach and methodology was very simple. We did a literature review, and we to understand other countries and how the electoral commissions function. We also did one-on-one interviews. We had focus group discussions across this country. We were able to develop questionnaires. We did surveys, and we did comparative studies to understand the other architectures and how that can best fit our structures in Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, we interviewed many people, many stakeholders, including commissioners, staff of government ministries, departmental agencies, political parties, the PSRU, civil society organizations. I see faces here that we actually interviewed and we spoke to. So it was an elaborate and it was a well-structured process that we captured the view of everyone. This brings me, Your Excellency, to the key recommendations and findings. And on this, Your Excellency, we have thematic areas that we looked at, and one of them was the policy and legal reforms at ECSL. The review team is of the view that ECSL is guided by strong legal fragmented implementation of critical reforms across ECSL. Also, we had issues with the date set for elections for both the president and parliamentary, despite we have a fixed term of 5 years. So there are recommendations, there are key findings and recommendations on the other side. So we brought out critical recommendations that the law take into cognizance the timing to specify fixed dates for elections. It was recommended. And then for the system, for the other thematic focus, Your Excellency, which speaks about systemized capacity building for ECSL, we observe that ECSL have an experienced staff strength, many of whom participated in several capacity buildings. It was, they are involved in many electoral observers' mission abroad. However, we are recommending that ECSL develop and implement comprehensive capacity building strategy tailored to ECSL operations specifically. We want to see a training operational plan for each phase of elections, including training materials, delivery plan being developed. Partners with local and international organizations to provide specialized training on emerging issues, technologies, and best practices of elections. Your Excellency, we looked at conditions of service. The review noted that ECSL is one of the institutions across where the current conditions of service do not adequately attract or retain qualified staff based on what they are doing, the nature and the responsibilities they carry. We are recommending that there is a need to review ECSL enumeration structure. It also took us to staff promotion. Your Excellency, it is important to note that the promotion is a vital component for every institution. But at ECSL, we realized that promotions were stagnated. There was no defined well scheme of service, leading to inconsistencies in staff career progression and motivation. There was absence of a scheme of service to effect employee motivation and retention. We are recommending that they develop a well-structured scheme of service to enhance staff growth, promotion, a policy to be reviewed and adopted. Your Excellency, we looked at equipment and logistics. We also noted that the Electoral Commission has now taken full responsibility for procurement and purchase of electoral materials. While this is considered a laudable venture, the lack of legal framework to safeguard confidentiality could lead to forgery and manipulations without legal penalties. Also, poor operational planning has negatively affected the conduct of elections in Sierra Leone. It was reported that logistical challenges have been associated with the late delivery of polling materials, causing delays in voting at polling stations across the country. We are recommending to amend the Public Elections Act to make procurement and printing of electoral materials, including ballot papers, more transparent, open to registered parties, acquire additional vehicles and fleet management systems to help ECSL to be operationalized. Inventory and control, Your Excellency, and management is another critical concern. We noted poor inventory management systems, which resulted in wastage and loss of materials, such as election kits, stationaries, and equipment. The review also noted the neglect in the utilization of asset management tracking systems, which questions ECSL efforts to strategic repositioning. We are recommending that they implement an electronic inventory system to track, allocate, and monitor all ECSL assets and materials in real time. We are also recommending to train staff on proper inventory management practices to reduce wastage and losses. We are also saying that they should develop develop a policy on disposal and reuse of obsolete or excess materials. Financial sustainability of the ECSL. Your Excellency, this is the very first time in the history of this country that we have the ECSL being fully funded, the elections being fully funded by the government of Sierra Leone. That is laudable. But also, the review noted that the Public Elections Act established the National Election Sustainability and Trust Fund, which is managed by the ECSL. The review noted that previous elections and post-elections programs and activities were supported by donors. However, for these particular elections, the government of Sierra Leone supported fully, 100%. Well, we are advocating for the government as a recommendation to fund with focus on ensuring timely disbursement to reduce dependency on donors, develop a long-term financial sustainability plan, including the sustenance of the National Election Sustainability Trust Fund, which will help ECSL to conduct elections without having to depend on donors. Accommodation. Your Excellency, ECSL offices, especially at the district levels, are either inadequate or poorly maintained, creating an unprofessional work environment. We are recommending for an upgrade, construct secure storage facilities for sensitive elections materials, ensuring integrity, developing and housing policy in this effect. Strengthen external communication and outreach. ECSL have used various platforms like Facebook, webpage, and Twitter, but it was observed that it's not regularly updated and the public needs to know about what the ECSL is doing. So we are recommending that they regularly update their web pages and their platforms so that people can be engaged regularly. Stakeholders collaboration and coordination. There are several coordination platforms and collaboration platforms in place. However, challenges were identified that effective stakeholders collaboration coordination, such as clearly defined stakeholder engagement strategy, the absence of engagement policy, late accreditation of local and international elections observers, the absence of structured stakeholder engagement and mechanisms undermines public trust and weakness collaboration. So the key recommendation there is we need to establish a formal coordination framework with key responsibilities and roles determined, conduct regular stakeholders consultations, and also develop a policy to engage our stakeholders. Use of technology to enhance electoral transparency. The review noted that the voter registration process has evolved significantly from paper-based to biometric technology. The introduction of the National Civic Register after 2016 has streamlined its registration of population for a variety of purposes. We are recommending, sir, that the Electoral Commission to strengthen the conduct of national voter registration, field work exercises following receipt of data from NCRA. This will also allow voters to verify their names on provisional list of voters. For the role of election observer groups, the review noted threats associated with that. There are lack of access to legal protection and human rights. And also, the review equally noted that many of the electoral observers group do not end up producing and submitting reports, even when the Public Elections Act requires submission of reports to, from accredited observers within 3 months of the elections. We are saying elections observer groups should be provided with legal and security protection. Amend Section 167 of Public Elections Act to make explicit the obligation that observers submit reports and provide that those observers who do not submit will be eligible for withdrawal accreditations in the future. Consult upon development of code and develop regulations to guide observers on how they should observe our elections. Your Excellency, on this note, I want to thank you for listening. This is a brief. The report is available. It will be presented. It's a lengthy page with over 85 recommendations. Thank you very much and God bless you.
A loud round of applause for such a wonderful and expansive work. Your Excellency, with the permission, I would like to now invite for responses. And I think we'll have the first response from no better person than the chair of ECSL to give the first response.
Thank you. Your Excellency, sir, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Honorable Chief Minister, and Ministers of Government present here, representatives of the Public Sector Reform Units, development partners, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with a great appreciation and a sense of forward-looking responsibility to be invited at this important occasion, the formal presentation of the PSRU report on the institutional review of the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone. In the context of the recurring outcries in multiple electoral cycles and the evolving democratic landscape, it became imperative for governments and the country to critically examine the internal structure, systems and operational framework of ECSL to better respond to the demand of credible, inclusive and transparent elections. Therefore, today marks a significant milestone in our journey to ending the 3 decades of this recurring post-election opera by political parties and strengthening the institutional capacity for effective and efficient mandates and conduct of our mandates. I wish to extend our sincere thanks to the President of the Republic for his executive decision to acknowledge these challenges and bringing together opposition parties to address them for future elections. I further appreciate the director and team of the Public Sector Reform Unit for undertaking this comprehensive institutional assessment. Since I assumed office of the Chief Electoral Commissioner, my goal has been to enhance institutional capacity, improve service delivery, and build greater public confidence in the electoral process. As a commission, we hold dearly our constitutional independence, but we have equally believe that the tripartite recommendation and the PSRU proposal from its review of the commissions will serve as a critical guide for reforms and improvements initiatives to ensure that the Electoral Commission continue to uphold the highest standards. As a team, we cooperated and supported the tripartite and the PSRU functional review processes. Consequently, after the release of the tripartite recommendations, the ECSL has initiated steps to implement some aspects of the recommendations within its direct purview. For example, in consultation with stakeholders across the country, we have drafted 2 policy documents for the implementation of recommendations 1 and 3 of the tripartite recommendations. Notably, from 11th to 30th of May 2025, the Commission conducted a series of regional stakeholders engagements in Kenema, Bo, Makeni, Poloko, and Freetown for the development of the new strategic plan for the period 2025 to 2029. These initiatives align with the tripartite recommendations and underscores the ECSL proactive approach to institutional reform. Similarly, we have been assured that the findings and recommendations contained in the PSRU reports are not just diagnostic, they are transformative. They provide us with a roadmap to address key organizational gaps, optimize human resource capacity, modernize operational procedures, and realign our institutional architecture with international best practice in electoral management. His Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we move towards 2025-2029 electoral cycle, the Commission is more determined than ever to build on its professional resilience and people-focused approach to carry out its mandate. And I would like to take this opportunity to reaffirm ECSL's commitment to transparency, accountability, and continued improvement. And I want to emphasize that this report will not be shelved. The Commission commits to reviewing the recommendations carefully, integrating them into the appropriate legal framework and institutional reform agenda, and working collaboratively with relevant government institutions and development partners for the implementation. I am confident that the implementation of this review recommendations will enhance the Commission's ability to deliver on its constitutional mandates to conduct credible elections in Sierra Leone. In closing, Your Excellency, I wish to thank colleague commissioners of the ECSL and staff of the Commission who participated actively during the review process. I just want to bring out a comment on the promotion. Before I assumed office for the 2 decades, staff promotion was stagnant. But when I assumed office, during my period, I promoted 75 staff from the Commission. So the promotion, that was possible because of the expansion of the Commission in terms of directorates. But we agree we need to have a proper system in place, or improved system in place, to ensure that promotions are done and benefit everybody. Your Excellency, again, I appreciate your efforts and your continued belief that Sierra Leone will only survive as a nation if we continue to work together in peace and harmony. Thank you so much. God bless Sierra Leone.
Thank you very much, the CEC, for those words of assurance for full implementation of the recommendations. Your Excellency, electoral processes have also been underscored by strong civil society participation. Therefore, it's now my pleasure to invite the National Coordinator of National Election Watch, which is the coalition of CSOs, for a response.
Your Excellency, through the office of the Chief Minister, I want to express our gratitude to you for saving this country from a looming chaos. Because the aftermath of the 2023 elections did not promise a vibrant democracy until, for your smart decision to note that even though you are head of state and you have won the elections, you have to listen to the prevailing circumstances and save the nation. Thank you for agreeing to have the tripartite committee and for bending over to ensure that there was stability in the country. The issue of the tripartite committee is a very serious thing for us as observers. We have been observing elections since 2002, and we organized ourselves because we believed that elections should be a pillar for peace and not chaos. Unfortunately, every succeeding election has ended in disagreements and potential tension and violence. So you will be leaving a legacy that will speak for you when you no longer be on the seat, of creating a situation whereby the Electoral Commission is organized in a manner whereby going against the rules may be difficult and credible elections will be ensured. So we appreciate you for that and we thank you. Noting the taste of brevity for the Chief Minister, let me just do a few acknowledgements. I want to acknowledge him for taking the bold step to accept the responsibility you gave to him to champion this cause. And I also want to acknowledge the brilliant creation of the steering committee secretariat. That was brilliant of you, sir. The establishment of that secretariat has bridged the gap between the tripartite committee, steering committee, and the public in terms of reaching out and in terms of communicating what is happening about or within the steering committee itself. Voter registration is a very key issue, sir, in electoral processes. And that's where the big problem starts. But we are happy that we have the architecture that will ensure we have a very vibrant voter registration system. And that is in the NCRA. I plead that we strengthen that institution. When NCRA is strengthened and we are able to have a data on every resident in this country, it will be a solution to a whole lot of problems that we are facing as a country. I want to say thank you to the EU. We became friends in 2016. They are the first people who agreed with us that election is not a single event, but a process that spans around the circle. And that if you only come in when elections are there, you will have missed the point. And that has proved very worthy for our operations as an election observer. Mr. President, to tell you that we are very serious about this tripartite committee recommendation implementations. As a civil society outfit, we brought together the wider civil society across the entire country in October last year and tried to reason around these recommendations and see how best we can contribute as civil society. I thank you again, Mr. Chief Minister, for accepting to be the keynote person in that commission. And what was extraordinary was the fact that you were just from the plane, the boat, and in the hall. I hope public officers will emulate that kind of energy, which we believe will help to guide the progress of this country. We have related with the Electoral Commission for a very long time. In fact, there was a marriage that was solemnized during Christian Atop's time. And that marriage has grown to a height that I was personally sponsored to go to South Korea by the Commission to train on technology in elections. And I think the marriage still holds, even though there are some malice. But we believe that can be surmountable as we move along. Thank you again, Your Excellency, and we appreciate the opportunity you've given us to give up our expressions as far as this presentation is concerned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Coordinator, for those words of support for the review process. Your Excellency, elections have also been a critical convergence point for our development partners. And today we are going to have 2 responses from our development partners, and we'll start from the head of the EU with the first response.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Dr. Julius Madabio, President of the Sierra Leone, Chief Minister, Dr. David Sangre, all protocol duly observed. I was extremely pleased when receiving the invitation to attend this event. Why? Because the delivery of the external functional review of the Electoral Commission marks an important milestone towards the implementation of the recommendations of the tripartite committee, which stems from the Agreement of National Unity of October 2023. And I also must admit a sense of relief, because the work that was presented today was due already some months ago. Recommendation 6 is indeed one of those recommendations with a deadline established by the tripartite committee report. We welcome this important step towards a full implementation of the 80+ recommendations contained in the report. And we are looking forward to see the findings and the recommendations of the external functional review of the Electoral Commission that was delivered today. As for ECSL, we also expect progress in respect of tripartite committee recommendations on an inclusive procedure for the appointment of best qualified ECSL commissioners. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the European Union is fully supporting the implementation of the tripartite committee recommendations through several instruments, among which the main ones are, at present, the Sierra Leone Democracy Strengthening Program implemented by International IDEA, the Technical Assistance Program to the ECSL, and the Media Empowerment for Democracy, Inclusion and Accountability Media in Sierra Leone implemented by BBC Media Action. Your Excellency, this is part of one of the pillars of our partnership with Sierra Leone, which is governance. A follow-up mission of the EU Election Observation Mission 2023 that will be led by the same chief observer, Evelyn Insir, member of the European Parliament, is on hold, waiting an invitation from the government of Sierra Leone to come and assess the implementation of recommendations of the EU Election Observation 2023 report. The findings and conclusions of this follow-up mission will decide the extent of European Union engagement to support the 2028 electoral cycle. We pledge for an inclusive and timely implementation of the electoral reforms in order to prepare a level playing field well ahead of 2018 elections. All the Sierra Leonean people should enjoy a peaceful, transparent, and inclusive electoral process. Your Excellency, Mr. President, let me quote the Bible now. Chief Minister knows this quotation already from last week. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of this is love. We mentioned even today the coat of arms of Sierra Leone. We should think globally but act locally. The coat of arms of Sierra Leone mentions unity, freedom, and justice. But the greatest of this is unity. Make we continue for work together for peace on unity. Namama Salon. Plenty thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador, for your pledge. And those fine lines from our local language Creole, and those Bible verses and quotations. Your Excellencies, our next speaker has been at the heart of the tripartite process, and therefore it's my pleasure to invite the UN Resident Coordinator, Serafin Wakana, for a response.
Your Excellency, President Julius Maada Bio, the Chief Minister, representative from Government of Sierra Leone, the members of the Steering Committee on the implementation of the Tripartite Committee recommendations, esteemed development partners, UN colleagues, representatives of civil society organizations, all protocol duly observed. I want to start by thanking you, Your Excellency, for the opportunity to be part of this gathering and witness the presentation of the report of the Independent Management and Functional Review of the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone. On behalf of the United Nations in Sierra Leone, we commend the government and all stakeholders for their commitment toward the implementation of the recommendations of the Cross-Party Committee report, as well as in their commitment on promoting the broader effort toward peace, social cohesion, and development in the country. We recognize the achievements made in the recommendations of the Cross-Party Committee report, which represent an important milestone in addressing post-election concerns and strengthening institutional trusts. The post-electoral period gives an excellent opportunity for legislative reforms, and therefore I would like to urge the government to work towards accelerating the implementation of the remaining recommendations in the Cross-Party Committee report and in strengthening operational systems in the Electoral Commission to build a stronger foundation for smooth electoral process. The continued efforts toward the implementation of these recommendations reflects Sierra Leone's commitment to inclusive governance and open dialogue. I would like to express my appreciation to the Chief Minister and the Steering Committee for inviting the UN to serve as a member of the Steering Committee established to oversee the implementation of recommendations in the Cross-Party Committee report. We received the letter yesterday and we respond yes to be member of the Steering Committee. And all these efforts demonstrate the government's commitment towards substantial improvement of the electoral process in line with international electoral standards and good practices and observer recommendations. Your Excellency, I would like to commend the Public Sector Reform Unit for taking the lead in the ECSL functioning review process and proposing recommendations for strengthening electoral management systems in Sierra Leone. And furthermore, I would like to express my appreciation to the U.S. Embassy for supporting the review process through the assistance provided by the International Foundation for Electoral Systems, IFS, a process that yielded the report being presented today. And I would like to also acknowledge the partnership and continuous support of the development partners throughout the electoral process in the country. We are glad that the ECSL Functioning Review Report is being presented today, and we look forward to receiving the report to engage in further comprehensive dialogue on its content and findings and recommendations, and to continue supporting the electoral process in Sierra Leone, the UN following the requests received from the ECSL. We will deploy in the next few days a needs assessment mission to define new parameters of UN technical electoral assistance to the 2025-2029 electoral cycle. I believe that the recommendation proposed by the needs assessment mission will further contribute to the government and national stakeholders' efforts in defining strategies for further strengthening the electoral process in Sierra Leone. I would like to conclude by emphasizing that the United Nations remains a committed partner in Sierra Leone's governance, peace building, and development journey. And we will continue to support Sierra Leone in advancing peace, human rights, and development for all its citizens. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, Madam, for your words of dedication to support Sierra Leone. Your Excellency, we are only here because of peace and your vision to create a gatekeeper for peace consolidation. The ICPNC was one of the pillars of the tripartite process, and it's my honor to invite the Executive Secretary of the Commission for a response.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Madabio, Chief Minister Dr. Moyasenge, all other protocol duly observed. I bring you greetings from the board and staff of the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. The Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion was established in 2021 on the eve of elections with a primary mandate to prevent, manage, and resolve conflicts, to build, promote, and maintain sustainable peace in Sierra Leone. The Commission has been working tirelessly with the people of Sierra Leone at all levels, national, micro, macro, and meso. The signing of the Unity Agreement and the Tripartite Report is a clear manifestation of the Commission's work in ensuring that our country's peace does not collapse, but rather that it's sustainable. I must confess that major recommendations enshrined in the Unity Agreement are being implemented across all levels, with a few more to be done, which I solely believe it will be. The Unity Agreements have been a work in progress, with over 80% of the resolution implemented, as an attestation by the international moral guarantors led by Her Excellency Madam Fatima Tambaja, with concurrence from the All People's Congress Party. It is worthy to note that what is known as tripartite was born from the Unity Agreement's resolution, hence the need for Peace Commission, the national and international moral guarantors, to continue monitoring of both the agreement and the recommendation to prevent the recurrence of pre- and post-electoral issues that have been happening over the past elections. Today's presentation of the Electoral Management and Functional Review Report by PSRU is an attestation of the government, state institutions, and partners' commitment to the full implementation of the Unity Agreement. These achievements will be part of our quarterly report to the international moral guarantors And thanks to the Tripartite Secretariat for its continual update to us and other stakeholders. As a Commission, we pray that all recommendations in this report are implemented for the good of Mama Salome. I'm also calling on development partners to form these recommendations and to do so in a timely manner. The Commission will continue to monitor all recommendations of both the Unity Agreement and Tripartite reports and to ensure that they're fully implemented. I will end by thanking Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, retired Brigadier Dr. Julius Maada Bio, for allowing and leading the process of institutional reforms with special reference to electoral system and management bodies, which have been pending for decades. Also, we extend our thanks to all political parties for their support to these processes and to all donors and development partners for their continual support and donation towards the process. I thank you all for keeping the peace.
Thank you very much for safeguarding the peace. Your Excellency, at this point, we will now have a symbolic presentation of the report by the chairperson of the steering committee, Dr. David Mwamina Senge, who also happens to be the Chief Minister.
Thank you. Your Excellency, on behalf of the steering committee and PSRU, I would like to humbly present to you the Independent Management and Functional Review of the Electoral Commission for Sierra Leone report.
Thank you very much, David. Distinguished guests, every speaker here this afternoon has commended one person, a visionary, a leader, and somebody who is vested in peace, somebody who believes in peace, and a champion of peace, electoral reform, and democracy. And therefore, it's my pleasure to invite the Excellency the President for a response to the report.
Thank you very much, the Chief Minister, clergy, other dignitaries present here this afternoon. I'm delighted to be here to receive this report because I've always considered national problems as that which belongs to leadership to deal with. I will take you back to 1996. As a young leader, when I realized that peace was the most important thing that we should go for. Of course we are pushing for democracy, but I knew that democracy was not possible in the midst of the chaos that we found ourselves. I put my life on the line to search for the protagonist, for the Sanko, so that he could come out of the bush, so that we can have an ecosystem that will permit peace in this country. That was how I initiated the peace process. Got for the Sanko out of the bush, had the first ceasefire, and I was able to hand over the country after I finally left the government. So, in that one move, I was able to deal with not only democracy, which had not been here in this country for nearly 30 years. No, the government was not ready for us to participate, and that, in addition to other problems, led to the war. So I dealt with the war and also democracy in one go. Coming back nearly 20 years after, I realized that we have not moved quite a lot as far as democracy itself is concerned. we had a lot of gaps besides representative democracy. We still do not have liberal democracy, the freedoms that go with democracy. It was for this reason that I abolished the death penalty. It was for this reason that we crushed the seditious libel law. It was for this reason that we decided that women should be emancipated in this country and freed to be part of it. And that is the thrust and trajectory I have maintained. The same system that we are reviewing now, the same structure that Mr. Corner inherited is the same structure that has been there, and the EU has been complaining about that structure. I remember I contested in 2012, and when I complained, I was told to go to the police. I am a problem solver. When the grumbles started that everybody want to heap the blame at their head, I know that if there is any problem, the same institution that had validated many other elections was now seen as the villain. It was for that reason that I said, let's go for the institution. Let's not victimize the head of those who are the main operators there. But sometimes we have our development partners who jump on the bandwagon without looking at the context. I suggested this reform. I suggested this review. Because for me, I am looking for true peace in this country. The Truth and Reconciliation Commission had recommended so many big issues that have not been dealt with for the past 20 years. And they are all meant to bring peace to this country, to consolidate the peace. In this short time, I will tell you we have dealt with 6, 7 of those, including the establishment of the Independent Commission for Peace and National Cohesion. Even the women's empowerment, the children, these were all part. Because the Truth and Reconciliation Commission took into consideration so many factors, and they identified in their recommendations the main issues that led to the war. So those recommendations were incumbent upon any government taking over to implement. Those have not been implemented. I will tell you, we've taken a big chunk. I don't have the list here, but I will find time to show to you that we are not here. I am not here to just lead. I'm here to deal with the fundamental grievances that lead to violent conflicts. I was at the fore, I fought at the front. I'm only lucky to be alive. Most of my colleagues did not live to tell the story. So, what I have here today, the report, is a step forward. And what we did was to involve everybody, not only the political parties who have not done anything about it, especially the main opposition. They were here for 11 years. They dealt with the same system, procedures, disaggregated data and aggregated data. But nobody aggregated the data until we came. And when they lost, they wanted us to disaggregate the data. This is not how we roll. We should have objective answers to national problems. We should be genuine to the people of this country. We need to give peace a chance. We need to give democracy a chance. And this is another forward momentum that we are giving to the peace process, to democracy, and for development to take hold in this country. So I want to thank all of you who have been genuinely involved. It has not been easy, including the APC. I want to thank them. I know how much it took to get them on the table, but because I have a clear and genuine ambition, I told the Electoral Commission, go there and present what is different from this election and the 2012 election that I lost. Nothing was changed, except that another man is in charge. And we are talking about commissioners. We have laws that govern how we appoint commissioners. And that is the most important law, the Constitution. It tells us how we appoint commissioners. Except if you want us to disobey or disregard our own Constitution. Otherwise, until it is amended, we will go according to the Constitution of the state. In appointing, it's clear. So I am saying all of this because we often grumble that I don't talk. I act, and I act in favor of the people of this country. I took an oath, and I take that oath very seriously. This is my second stint in office, and I come with a lot of knowledge about what is wrong about our society. And it is those deep-rooted challenges that I have gone for all the time. I'm not dealing with cosmetic issues. So if you look at the raft of reforms right across all the sectors, I am not going to be able to do much. I have a term limit. But I'm going to lay a solid foundation for the development of this nation, for the growth of democracy, for peace to prevail. So this is why I consider you as genuine partners who have, and again I want to thank the Chief Minister who has been at the center. It was extremely difficult to move this for everybody because every intention is political in this country. They thought we were actually going to manipulate the Constitution and that we were going to do this. I said, bring everybody to the table. The Constitution has been in amendment process for the past 20 years. That is not commitment to genuine leadership. We have said we are going to take it to fruition. We are going to bring it to an end. We have brought it, and as a matter of fact, we inherited a white paper, which is as a result of the two former governments. So we have not brought in anything, and most of the 80 recommendations of the tripartite committee are all part of that white paper. So when they said, oh, be open about it, I said there's no openness, except if they want to disagree with what they had created. Otherwise, they be in opposition. What we have is a continuation of the work that they had started. We have not added anything. And in fact, even to look at it again, we have brought them in. If you made any mistake and you want to correct now. And let's correct it together. So that at the end, the rules of the game will be accepted by everybody. We have to give respite to the ECSL. That mandate is not a simple one to conduct election. It's always a tough job anywhere, especially here where political polarity is very, very strong. Whichever, I don't know, you need an angel to go unblemished as head of the ECSL. You have to understand that. So I told Mr. Connor before, if you can't stand the heat, don't go to that kitchen, our electoral kitchen. I know he knows what it is by now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm grateful to all of you, our partners from the UN family to EU, everybody that has been involved, because this should be our handiwork, not the work of the government. And that is what we have done. And I hope that we will follow the process through. If we are late, it's because we have quite a lot of things to handle. But we are fully committed to this. I think the most difficult part has been putting this together, to agree that this is what we want of the Commission. And with the management and performance review, which gives me the opportunity to say thank you to the PSRU for a very good job. And who again, if I do forget to call you, IFES, yes. I want to say thank you to all of you. This is how peace is built. Peace building is what we are on together, hands on, everybody. We have put this together. If anybody is to renege on anything that is here, then you know that there are rules. That is why it should be the handle, this architecture should be our concerted efforts. And I'm grateful because the legacies are not necessarily concrete infrastructure, roads, but those institutional reforms that are impartial and that we deliver and be results that are above board. I have been at the receiving end of bad electoral management, not once, but twice. So I don't want anybody to be at the receiving end anymore. That is how I do it. If you see me passionate about education, it's because without education I wouldn't be here. I come from 200 miles away from here in a village where my school is just one of those village schools. I enjoy the benefit of education and I want to share it with everybody. That is why we declared free education. And so we should have a democracy where everybody will feel confident to vote and to know that their votes are going to be accounted for accordingly. I will not take much of your time again. Let me thank you all. Let me thank you all for all the efforts that have gone into this. And we invite more people to come if there is place for them in the implementation so that there will be no suspicion about the end result. We want an institution whose mandate will be accepted by everybody at the end of the day. Thank you.
A louder round of applause, Your Excellency. Thank you very much for speaking from your heart so passionately about genuine electoral reforms and peace consolidation. With the permission as well, His Excellency has consented for 2 photo sessions, which will be conducted at the front of the hall. And the first would be with His Excellency the President and all the speakers. We include the ECSL National Coordinator, new Head of EU, UNSL Coordinator, and Executive Secretary, ICPNC. And they will also be joined by the Head of Secretariat Tripartite, so at least we also recommend what you're doing. And the last one will be His Excellency the President and PSRU and your team for such a marvelous job. On that note, please rise for the national anthem.